Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Joining me today in this special session is Utsav Chakrabarti. Utsav is a good friend of ours. He has been on our channel many times before, and he's going to talk to us about a couple of events that took place over the last few days in Washington, D.C. The latest one being on Sunday here, and it is still Sunday in the United States. I'm sorry, Saturday in the United States. It's probably Sunday for you who are watching it in India and elsewhere. But a lot of things are happening now. In fact, there's an article in Sunday Guardian today. I urge you to read it by Professor M.D. Nalapat about how some seem to have got a carte blanche, power to do whatever the heck they want, and nobody is going to act against them. Whether it is Canada or United States or United Kingdom or even Australia. So a lot of things are happening around the world, orchestrated attacks on Hindus, trying to rouse passions and what have you. But there is a commonality between two events that took place last week. That's what I think. Let's see what Utsav, who happens to be in DC, thinks. Utsav, namaskar and welcome to P Guru's channel.
Namaskar, Shri, and happy to be back.
So, Utsav, this National Press Club meet, where I think there were officials from the state of Union Territory still, of Jammu and Kashmir, and they were making a presentation. What really happened there? I got a video from a friend of mine. I just want to play it for you, and maybe if you had a chance to see it online or anything you heard about this, maybe you can weigh in. We're going to just play this quick video clip.
Thank you very much.
We have the freedom of speech.
God bless you. God bless you. Thank you.
We still love you.
Thank you.
We still love you, sir.
Thank you. God bless you. The whole audience has seen your real face today. What we have seen in Kashmir, we saw in Washington today.
Who sponsored that?
How cruel.
So why does this gentleman want to know who sponsored it? Why? I'm just curious. First of all, he has gate crashed into an event, and I think there were more than one. That's how it looks like, Utsav. I could be wrong. Please straighten me out.
So that is the first video. Actually, I saw two videos that came out. In the second video, and we have actually posted about it. In the second video, this gentleman who is at the last scene, he actually points the finger at the person who was taking the video, and he says Indian Hindu Sea in Punjabi, as if it's a crime to be an Indian Hindu. So he points to that guy in an accusing way and says Indian Hindu Sea. And that's like the second, I think there's a second video. I saw it online. But needless to say, I'm very much aware of this incident. It happened on Thursday at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. In fact, the person who hosted the event, and she's actually seen in that video with the pink muffler standing outside the room in the video you showed. Her name is Poonam Sharma. She's a journalist from Washington, D.C. area. Back a little bit more. Yeah, so this one starts with the Hindu Sea statement. Indian Hindu Sea. If you play it again.
Yeah, play it again, please. Hang on. We're playing it again.
Hindu Indian Sea.
This is Hindu India Sea.
Listen to the lies.
So some of these noisemakers were shown the door. Is that what it was?
Yes, and in fact, Poonam Sharma, who was there in the first video, she was the host of this event. And she actually, if you go to the Twitter handle Global Strat View at the rate Global Strat View, they had it live telecast. So I did watch that when they were telecasting it, and it's a fascinating video, the whole of it, if you watch, because the two gentlemen who came are Kashmiris from the grassroots in Jammu and Kashmir. One is from, I believe, Srinagar. His name is Mir Junaid. And the other person is Tausif Raina. He's the mayor of the town of Baramulla, which is a town in North Kashmir. And it's historically both Srinagar and Baramulla were areas that were badly affected by terrorism from Pakistan. And both of these young men, I believe that they rose through terrorism, and they learned. And if you see the presentation, you can see the passion in their words. They clearly speak about how they are trying to make sure that the next generation of Kashmiris see development, schools, and education rather than guns, bullets, and Pakistan. So it's a very fascinating video. If our viewers get a chance to see, Global Strat View had it live telecast. And what you see in this video is that this is a town. Washington DC is a city where the Pakistanis, for all these years, for the last 35 years, had a single narrative. There was nobody to challenge it. There were a few Kashmiri Pandits who were living in this area who would present their side of the story, the victimhood, the suffering, and the tragedies they have gone through. But there was no concerted presentation on the Indian perspective on Jammu and Kashmir in Washington DC for the last 30 years, other than the Kashmiri Pandits who were trying to do a few things. All these years, it was Pakistan and the pan-Islamist, the global pan-Islamist movement that ran the Kashmir narrative. And they made a big impression on the lawmakers, on media. You know how Washington Post and New York Times write about Kashmir. So they had this one-sided game going on. And these two young men from Kashmir, believe it, both of them are Muslims, by the way. And that bothered the Pakistanis so much that they had to come to this event. And you saw them, there were 4 or 5 of them, I think, in the video we saw. And they were abusive. Like, I saw the entire video. Like, you could see it on their face, the amount of hatred they had. And in fact, I think one of the I read it in the media also. One of the two speakers said that this is exactly what they do in Jammu and Kashmir. The only difference is that here they're screaming and shouting and abusing. There they carry the gun and they kill people for being different or for just disagreeing with them. And I believe this was a wonderful event in terms of highlighting in the capital of America what Pakistan and its pet terrorists do in India and other parts of the world. It was a perfect display of their intolerance, their hatred. And as you saw in the last 4 seconds of that video, Hindu India see, like, as if it's a crime to be a Hindu in the world. But they do believe that, and they treat it that way.
Utsav, tell me a little bit about these two individuals. Are they gainfully employed? Or they seem to be quite well off. Or are they like ex-army people who have salted away their money here and now they are enjoying that?
So these guys are actually part of a bigger group. So they are actually part of the group that Ghulam Nabi Fai runs and has a big effort going on.
Same IAMC alphabet soup.
I'm sorry.
Same IAMC alphabet soup.
Same yeah. So Ghulam Nabi Fai's group, they regularly come and protest. I mean, they have been here in Washington DC region for a while. It's part of their business. They come out and protest 5 times a year wherever they can. They have the same old narrative, the same old story. They will hold the posters of the same Hurriyat conference leaders, and they will it's the same routine they run. But sadly, all these years, this routine was accepted. And it was the main narrative. That's why you saw when Article 370 was removed in Jammu and Kashmir, Pramila Jayapal, an Indian American lawmaker, was sponsoring a resolution against it. So this was the power of these guys in DC. They had a free run. And now these two young Kashmiris who I really want the people to hear them out, and go to Global Strat View and you will see the video there. They did a fantastic job challenging these guys just by pure facts. All they did was make presentations on how things are improving in the Kashmir Valley. And that's it. That made this happen, basically.
Well, first of all, these people don't even have next day's bread. If you look at the lines that are showing up in videos in Pakistan, the line for wheat, atta, is stretching into, practically a mile. It was mind-blowing watching that, Utsav. If things are this bad, it's time they understood that their land has some serious problems.
They do. They see the problem here is that many of these people don't even go back to Pakistan. They are part of a larger global network of Islamists that may have allegiance to Pakistan, that follow and support issues that are concerning Pakistan, but their funding, their resources, their networks extend beyond Pakistan. So people have to understand this very well. The Jamaat-e-Islami, the Muslim Brotherhood, and all these organizations that are now very well rooted in Western countries, including in America. They do not need any single country's patronage to do their work. Now they are self-sufficient globally. They have their own resources. In fact, they probably dip into the resources of the country they are operating in. And that's why, Pakistan's resources are not that relevant. This is very important for people in India to understand. These guys don't operate on Pakistan's resources. They operate on pan-Islamist resources. So there's a distinction here.
Now, there was another incident. This video is again doing the rounds now. You will see, I think it is a PTI reporter, Lalit Jha, I believe, and he's being confronted by two elderly gentlemen, and one of them is badly, is mouthing epithets, and looks like he hit him on the way out. So, Utsav, where does Khalistan get this kind of, bravado? Who is telling them, go do whatever you want? The city is not going to come after you, or the police force is not going to come after you.
So this is the concerning part. What you saw in terms of the defeat of the Pakistani narrative on Jammu and Kashmir is also what is leading to the growth of the Khalistani activism and violence across the world. Essentially, what is happening is that because of the failure of the Pakistani establishment, its thought leadership, and the global pan-Islamist networks to push their narrative and push their violence into Jammu and Kashmir, they are failing. I mean, they do commit acts of violence. Every few weeks somebody is killed and shot, but it's not to the level that they used to be able to do even 2-3 years ago. And because of that failure, now their entire focus is on trying to revive violence and terrorism in Punjab. And because they have a global network of Khalistanis that are very much active in Canada, US, UK, and Australia, basically, the Western Alliance countries, the Quad countries that are very much involved in this, they are very active there. And that brings us to the next important part that you asked in your questions, like why are they doing it and why do they have a carte blanche in their activism? And that is something that the Americans and the authorities have to really look into. Because even last week, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan had made a statement that this kind of events will not be tolerated and the law would take its course. And similarly, the State Department made statements. But I really see that there is a gap between what was said and how the law enforcement on the ground is reacting to it. Because today's event in DC was really unfortunate. I mean, I personally know Lalit Jha for a long time. I've known him for the last 15 years. And he has been in America, in Washington, D.C. for the last 15 years. A very upright journalist, a very straightforward and fact-oriented journalist. And for him to be treated this way is really sad and reflects badly on America.
Utsav, when is their water tap going to dry up? Surely this kind of money funding. See, I'll tell you why. On Friday, there was a pro-India demonstration where hundreds of people were, this is a very small consulate building in San Francisco. They were all lined up in the possible space that they could find, and they were chanting slogans pro-India. Now, what happened was the other side, which is the Khalistani supporters, they showed up around 3:30, and I have a video of that video, viewers. You can take a look at it, and we actually captured the actual scene as it played out, and there were only 3 or 4, at maybe 6 or 7 maximum. Then someone has called up urgently, we need reinforcements, and it is believed that a bus load of people showed up there, and again they are trying to hurl abuses, and when people are trying to see who these people are, many of them were covering their faces using the placards. So that tells you something, Utsav. Many of these people are illegal. How the heck they got into the country? So there are it's not one problem now. It's a multiplicity of problems.
So absolutely right. In fact, Shri, back for the last many years, there is a whole racket that goes around where anybody who wants to come through the Mexican border illegally, these guys, the Khalistanis in America, and they run these rackets where they say that we will get you into America. If you say that you are a persecuted Khalistani, then we can even get you asylum in America. And there's a whole racket that runs like that. So there are many people who sometimes even unwillingly are forced to go to these rallies by the Khalistanis, because they say that if you do this and hold a Khalistan flag, then we can prove to the US government that you are a refugee and you need protection from the US government because now you are seeking asylum, and therefore we can get you asylum. So they have lawyers in place. They go around looking for these people who they can trap in this Khalistan narrative. But overall, what I'm seeing here is that, see, this was something that the Pakistanis, when I say Pakistanis, their thought leadership is what I mean. They have been trying to revive for a long time. They have been putting an immense amount of resources over the last 30 years to keep this movement alive. And if you see the Disinfo Lab reports that talk about how Bhajan Singh Bhinder and all these people, so they were grabbing at different issues so that they can keep they would grab onto caste, they would grab onto Kashmir, they would even, when China was invading Ladakh, this guy from SFJ even released a letter saying he's in support of China. So the things were just his guy. Huh? Pannu, yeah, Good Patwan Singh Pannu. So this is the level of desperation they have, and they do these antics so that they can stay in the news, because they know that if they constantly stay in the news and constantly do something destructive, some people who are disgruntled can be attracted, and that is their focus. I don't think it is going to work in India, but they're going to continue to do this in America, Canada, UK, and Australia. In Canada, I think they have the upper hand, where the Canadian administration, I have to say this if anybody from Justin Trudeau's administration is listening, they have been defeated. Justin Trudeau should worry about Khalistan getting created in Canada at this point of time, because that's how much they have surrendered to the Khalistanis. And in America, I think this is something that the American administrations have to learn. They may have to look back into the kind of terrorism that these Khalistanis had done in the 1980s and the 90s. In fact, before September 11, the largest terrorist attack in North America was the attack on the Air India flight in Canada that led to the death of more than 300 people. So, this is the level of terrorism where this can get to. And what you see here is a low-level ramping up of this rhetoric and this, street violence and this abuse that can very easily escalate to full-blown terrorism in America and in Canada from the Khalistanis. And that's what people have to be worried about.
Well, at least in the case of United Kingdom, the guy who tried to bring down the Indian flag, he has been arrested. I don't see anything of that nature happening in the United States. We now have, known instances of attacks. They smashed down the windows of glass doors and windows of the consulate on last Sunday.
Yes.
It's come on now, it's not your property.
Yes. And I think they were on camera. So, law enforcement can
it has been captured.
They can look into the videos and literally arrest them right away. But I think also there is a bigger concern that American law enforcement should worry about. These groups are trying to tie up with organizations that are otherwise in America known to represent underdogs. They try to infiltrate Black Lives Matter movement. They try to infiltrate trade unions, labor unions. So they are trying to build coalitions with American grassroots movements or what is perceived to be American grassroots movements, and trying to really smartly build alliances with them. And I think that part of the reason why everybody is so cautious in America is because they are like, okay, what if we arrest them and then somehow tomorrow, somebody from Black Lives Matter calls me and says release them. So this is something really concerning, and I think everybody has to be alert on this issue, because this is not right, and this is going to lead to bad things.
Yes, indeed. And thank you for staying up and joining this call at a late hour. And Utsav, again, it's a timely update. And viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to click on the bell button for notification. Surprisingly, the turnout is quite thin today, the number of viewers today. I don't know what's going on in India that is holding their attention, but this was important. We thought that we should bring it to you right away. Thanks once again, Utsav, and namaskar.
Namaste.